Weilà raga, how's it going everybody? Welcome to today's video. Today we're going to go over a really simple way. I share this all the time. You've probably seen it on my channel already before. A simple way for studying. So you sat down, maybe you're sitting on the train, you're sitting on the bus, you're a passenger in the car, you sat down at your desk, you just finished dinner and you want to do something, whatever it may be. You sat down and you want to spend some time with Italian. Let's head on over to the whiteboard and let's just call this spending time. So spending time with Italian. All right, let's do that. So it doesn't have to be studying. Let's call it spending time with the language. We're studying, but we'll call it spending time. All right? So a lot of students, I've noticed, they don't really like to feel like they're studying. They don't really want to feel like they have to study grammar. So this hopefully is going to be a remedy to that. So what I want you to do is just look at your open page, look at the open note screen on your phone, wherever you're writing, and just be free with what you want to write. You want to ask yourself, what comes to mind? What comes to mind? You also want to ask yourself, what do I want to say? What do I want to say? You know, because when you're speaking another language, you want to sound like yourself. What is something that if you just sat down in front of someone and you were going to start talking about something, what would it be about? So I'm going to show you an example that would work for me. And then maybe, we'll see where the pen leads us. Maybe we can try to transition to talk about something that would be more applicable perhaps to your everyday life, because I'm assuming not everyone watching me is an Italian teacher. But let me just show you what I would do if I'm sitting down. I would say something like, my thoughts would be that I'm teaching my students in something I noticed about them. All right? So how could I just start off by saying, not everyone likes to study grammar, okay? I would say, la grammatica. So there we go, got a word there. La grammatica. Now I want to say not everyone likes grammar. How do I do that? Not everyone likes grammar. Well, I know that we have to use piacere, right? And if I don't know the rules for piacere, that would be the time in which I would go learn them. I would watch one of my videos, for example, the Zero to Hero Italian Grammar series. I've got videos on it. But with piacere, we always use indirect object pronouns. All right, I'm going to shorthand IOP. And when we talk about a person's name, we use the preposition a before their name. All right? So, not everyone likes grammar. Well, to say the word everyone, we use the word tutti. Okay? So this kind of falls under the category of name. So, a tutti. All right. So, a tutti non piace la grammatica. All right? Now, what I did right here is it's basically a grammar lesson built off of an idea. So if you know how to use piacere, or if you don't, and you're going to take some time to review the piacere rules, you can do a focused study just on what you need. So maybe you need to go over piacere, and this is the time to do it. And then you say, I was going to talk about my students, but maybe now I'm going to talk about a different person. I'm going to say, a Marco, let me just go like this, piace tanto studiare la grammatica. All right. So now what I did was I just took it from what I had up here, not everyone likes studying grammar, and now I want to say, well, what if I do the opposite? Maybe someone does like studying grammar, and they like it a lot. So a Marco piace tanto studiare la grammatica. And when you really break this down, we're not including anything that's particularly advanced, right? We're using the word tanto for some emphasis. We use the verb studiare after a conjugated verb, even though there's this sort of word for emphasis in the middle. That doesn't change the fact that you have one verb conjugated. The next is not, if they are a part of the same idea. Then I just need to remember that when we're mentioning a person's name with the verb piacere, we put the preposition a before it. And then, if I don't know how to say grammar, I can just look it up, la grammatica. Well, what if I turn this into something else? Maybe I want to talk about that time we ate at a restaurant and maybe Elisa didn't like the pasta. How could I say something like that? That time when we were at the restaurant. Let's begin there, okay? And if it helps me to write first in English, do that. That time when we were at the restaurant. Okay. And I like this because it's got some length to it. So before we get to the whole Elisa part, we're going to start here. That time when we were at the restaurant. Okay. Now you may think immediately when you say the word time that you're going to say tempo, but you would have to remind yourself tempo wouldn't work here, but if tempo comes to mind, use it. Then as you're gonna go check your work, speak to your Italian teacher, your Italian friend. You'll consult with the internet and technology in one form or another. You would find out that you wouldn't use tempo here, you would use volta. Because this is about an occurrence. Volta is used in that way. I'd have to remember that it's a feminine word. So when I want to say that time, quella volta. So, quella volta. Then when is quando. And then we were at the restaurant. Okay, how can I say that? That time when we were at the restaurant. I would go first with eravamo. So in imperfect of essere, quando eravamo. And then at the restaurant is al ristorante. Okay. Quella volta quando eravamo al ristorante. And the reason why I'm saying eravamo is because it doesn't matter exactly when we were at the restaurant. It's just that time when we were there. That time when we were there. You could use passato prossimo. That's fine. Quella volta quando siamo stati al ristorante or in quel ristorante, you could also say. But I'm just going to say this. Quella volta quando eravamo al ristorante, then I want to say Elisa didn't like the pasta. So using the same logic that we had here. A before a person's name. Okay. When I'm using piacere. A Elisa non è piaciuta la pasta. Ok. So quella volta quando eravamo al ristorante, a Lisa non è piaciuta la pasta. Look how nice that is. Now, depending on your level where you're at, this may be really easy. This may be like, oh cool, I never thought to do things that way. This may be difficult. But what ends up happening, let's say you didn't know non è piaciuta, and the reason why it ends with an A is because essere is its helping verb, and it has to agree with the thing that was liked, which is la pasta, so that's why we do this. That is your opportunity to say, I need to figure this out. You know, when I put this into a translator, when I had the lesson with my teacher and we went over it, when I watched one of Tom's videos, it didn't make sense. That's then when you say, okay, I need to study this. Or if you're confused at the part about eravamo, you're like, okay, well, what's the difference between siamo stati versus eravamo? Then what I would say, go study those two things. Oh, where does eravamo come from? I can't remember eravamo. You look it up and you find out it's essere in the imperfetto. And you say, oh, how do I conjugate essere in the imperfetto? And you do this. All right, write for yourself essere. Remind yourself it means to be. And let's go through the conjugated forms in the imperfetto. So we have io ero, tu eri, lui, lei, era. I'm going to put the plural pronouns in another column. Noi eravamo. So this is what you would find online. And then I would suggest that you write it so you follow along with it, sort of teaching yourself it, practicing it as you go. Voi eravate. Loro erano. So if I want to figure out why or where this eravamo comes from, I have it right here. Oh, it's just the noi conjugated form. Oh, now I remember. I never use noi because I'm always using io. Okay, I get it. Now, if we just recap what happened. So I'm going to scroll back up. So we did a lot of writing, but let's just scroll up for a second. We began with me sitting down saying, what comes to mind? What do I want to say? I was like, well, something relevant to me is talking about la grammatica with my students and how not everyone likes studying grammar. But then I'm like, well, what words do I need? You can kind of just create a little, what is it called? Word bank. You could create a little word bank for yourself. That's what I started doing here. Piacere. Oh, what does piacere need though? Do I really know how to use piacere? Remind yourself how to use it. Go over the rules with piacere. Then I try to put a phrase together. Not everyone likes grammar. Then I'm talking about a person's name. Then I'm like, oh, well, let me do something a little different. I want to keep working with this piacere. I'm kind of feeling piacere. Now you notice we started with one thing. This is what I mean when I say we let the pen go where it leads us. What do I want to do? And then, after all this time, right, we end up getting into imperfecto. I'm going to check right now how long we've done this video. 11 minutes. Now, I think I started explaining somewhere around the 2-minute mark. That's when I started writing. So 2 to 11. What is that, 9 minutes? 9 minutes of studying. Look how good that was. That's quality work. So I would highly suggest that when you sit down to study, do something like this. If you don't want to do it by yourself, you don't have to. That's what teachers are for. I do this all the time with my students during our live group lessons. So if you want to be a part of it with me, send me an email. I always have information in the top line of the description. Or just go to my website, weilàtom.com. You'll find out more. I use this same method pretty much in my 0 to Hero Italian Grammar series, which I have available both for free and ad-free for channel members. You could schedule one time a one-on-one lesson with me. My schedule is very limited, but you never know. Reach out to me anyway. Maybe my schedule will be free that week. Sign up for a lesson with someone online. Talk to AI. Talk to Google. You know, there are ways that we could try to figure this out. Have an Italian friend. Get on one of those apps for finding pen pals. All I'm trying to say is, I think this is really possible. This is something you can do on your own or do with someone else. And yeah, have fun with it. So I'm going to close up the video here. Don't want it to be a super long video. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you try this. And that's going to be it. Happy studying. Buono studio, you could say in Italian. Buono studio. Happy studying, guys. And I'll catch you all in the next video. Always remember to spread the love, guys. Ciao.